I was a bench warmer. I couldn't get over a girl. Yeah, I needed to drop out of college. See ya. And I just freaking walked away. Do you want to be a part of something bigger? Damn, dude. I want to get a little teary-eyed over here.
Jeez, man.
God damn.
You're good. You're good. Welcome to the Abheet Path podcast. For today's episode, we're going to be interviewing the owner of the activewear brand REVLUTN Athletics and a creative in the fitness industry. So without further ado, Levi Scrivner. Welcome, brother.
Thanks, man. All right. Thanks for
Comfortable?
having me, man.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Thank you for coming on to episode number 2. So before we get started, let's make a quick toast to episode number 2. This is, once again, the 3D energy drink. So 3D, please sponsor us. I use you in every single episode, even though it's only been 2. But for good episode.
Cheers.
Once again, thank you for coming on to the podcast, brother. I know you're a busy man. So to get things started off for the people that are listening and the people that are watching, just give a quick intro as to who you are. Who's Levi Scrivner?
So my name's Levi Scrivner. I'm the owner and CEO of REVLUTN Athletics. What I also do is I'm actually a CFO for a brand called Nutra Innovations, and I pretty much oversee all the marketing, branding, and also coming up with new products.
And that's a supplement company, right?
Correct. Based in Georgia. My boss is Chad Brooks, so if you're watching this, what up? But yeah, it's a very fun job because it gives me the time to be able to focus on REVLUTN Athletics and also just other endeavors as well, especially like in, making content and stuff for Instagram and growing my personal brand as well. So
Yeah, that's sweet, man. Let's dive into how Levi came to be who he is today. So what was your childhood like growing up when it came to what you're into today, and what was your journey like?
Oh man, a whole lot of RuneScape, man. That's
Yeah.
all I played. So growing up, I was very much a kid that liked to stay indoors, play RuneScape, play Xbox, until I picked up a skateboard. Picked up a skateboard in 6th grade, started skating, and ultimately that was like kind of my life. I was just a skater kid. From the beginning. So, hanging out with all the neighborhood kids, skateboarding and going to skate parks and stuff like that, and entering into competitions and stuff like that.
Oh, wow. So that was that serious, huh?
Yeah, I was bombing hills and, going off gaps and going downstairs and stuff like that. And then eventually when I got to high school, I did kind of stick with that, but I ended up getting into track and football and stuff. I wasn't good at football. I was a bench warmer, even on JV. So I wasn't best athlete, but when it came to running, that was something that I was very passionate about at the time in high school. Yeah, I was just quick. And then I was skateboarding one day and I hurt my foot and had to get surgery and stuff. And it kind of ended my whole just track career then and there. Very quick. Missed out on college scholarships, and ultimately I had to figure out what I wanted to do.
What ended up happening to your foot?
I ended up breaking a little piece of bone within my big toe.
Jeez.
Which is kind of weird. It sounds so small, but that little piece right there, just it would get inflamed, and it wasn't right.
Yeah.
After that, I kind of shifted gears, and then I was kind of just in this space where the hell am I supposed to do? So I had a buddy, Brandon. He ended up coming up to Fort Collins one day and was like, hey, I've been hitting the gym, it's fun, you should try it. And I was like, dude, you're big. He was a shorter guy, but he was just he got stocky over the last 6 months. And I was like, man, I want to get like that. So I was 130 pounds, so.
Oh wow, you're pretty light.
Dude, and I'm 5'10", so that's ridiculous. I shouldn't be that skinny. So we got a day pass at 24 Hour Fitness here in town, and I was like, all right, I'll go with you. So we went and hit shoulders and arms or something like that. I was like, man, this is something that I think I can do. It wasn't even I have to go 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. I literally knew right then and there that I was going to kind of make this my career. I wanted to become a trainer or something like that, and it was different back then. It was kind of just frowned upon a little bit, but I enjoyed doing it. So from there, I ended up going through the notions of just going to the gym and just eating as much food as possible.
When was that exactly? What year?
That was 2013.
13.
Yeah.
Were you still in community college?
Yes.
What were you trying to pursue?
So a number of things. Psychology. I was kind of just testing the waters. man, I had like a 2.0 like the first year because I was just going through so many classes trying to figure out what I wanted to do until I hit nutrition.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, maybe be a dietitian because I ended up just reading a shit ton of books, researching on how to count macros, and I learned how to count macros in my nutrition classes. And I was like, man, I could probably do this. It's kind of going through that path, and I was teaching myself, and I was like, you know what, like maybe this isn't the path for me. Some things happened, and I ended up moving to Connecticut. Yeah, like
that's crazy.
Full 180, full 180. I couldn't get over a girl. That was one of the things.
Heartbreak. I
couldn't be in the same town as like where, you know what I mean? It's just those high school drama.
Was that all around the same time?
No. The girl was like during high school.
Oh,
so, like,
dang.
I let that shit hang on to me for a while. Man, I was butthurt. So
anyway, you moved to Connecticut.
Yeah, I moved to Connecticut with my buddy Brandon, actually, and I went to school out there. Well, first I had to do a gap year.
What did you do during that gap year?
All I did was just lift, man.
So you get a job working, you're hitting the gym in Connecticut, then what?
So 2 years goes by, I'm lifting, going to school, and then I realized that track is not for me and bodybuilding is. So my buddy was like, yo, I'm going to do an amateur OCB show. And what that is like a natural bodybuilding show. And it was like kind of like a smaller organization. I mean, a lot of natural shows are pretty small. And he's like, dude, you got to do it. Like, you're already shredded. Like, just lose like 5 more pounds or so. And I was like, all right. So I did it with him and realizing like I have to jump up there like in a little Speedo. Like I've never been in anything like that before. So
it wasn't the board shorts.
No,
it was the Speedo one.
It was the Speedo. It was straight like just bodybuilding. So got out there, did my thing, placed like 5th, I think, overall. And then I realized right there that like I wanted to continue to do that because bodybuilding was giving me that competition that I missed from, you know, running track and stuff, because track is such an individual sport. I didn't really look at it from like a team aspect. I looked at it as like, I'm going to beat my personal best.
Sure.
And that's kind of like what bodybuilding was for me. I can go out there, compete against myself, but also compete against like people that have been training as long as me or a little bit longer, or like we are competing against conditioning and stuff like that. So that's what was super fun about it.
What were some core memories you had as you were, you know, going through your gym sort of journey? What were some people you were watching on social media? What were those kind of people you were paying attention to? Yeah,
so one of the core people that I kind of found a lot of inspiration from was Steve Cook, actually.
Oh, really?
Wow. Steve Cook, I looked up to a lot, actually, to where I actually met him at Arnold. Yeah.
Really? What year was that?
That was 2015, I believe, or 16.
That's awesome.
He was at the Optimum Nutrition booth, and I was waiting in line for 4 hours to meet this guy.
Sheesh.
Like, I don't think I've ever like waited that long for a guy. And I was like, you know what? Like, this is Steve Cook, like the most down-to-earth fitness influencer at the time. And I was like, it's worth it.
Yeah.
So I was waiting in line for 4 hours, and then they said he was going to lunch. And I was like,
darn.
Are you freaking kidding me? And then I was like, no, I'm not wasting this time. And it was our last day too. It was on Sunday. And Sundays aren't like too crazy, but that day was like insane. So I go around to where he is off to the side, and I was like, yo, Steve, I gotta take a photo with you. And he's like, hey, 1 sec. And then he comes and turns to me, and he's like, what's up, man?
No way.
And he takes a photo with me, and we're just like, you know, talking and stuff. He's like, hey, how's your trip? Like, everything. And then this one other time that I met him, I think it was the year after, he remembered my name.
Sheesh. That's
he
crazy.
He remembered my name. He's really good with names.
Wow.
And I couldn't believe it. So that's kind of like what not got me into a lot of this stuff, but it taught me like how I wanted to be as an influencer.
Sure.
Because you are going to get people that come up to you and they're like, hey, I love your videos, or I love like what you're doing and stuff. But a lot of people, or just a lot of influencers, are just very standoffish, or they're just like Instagram gets to their head.
Yeah.
Like a K at the end of their number gets to their head. And
Yeah.
I want to be like him. And I've always just really like had that in the back of my head where I was like, you know, like I need to be better. I need to be better. Like just continue to be better and just like treat everyone like the same. It's like, it goes back to that whole saying, like, you know, treat the CEO like the janitor, like that whole concept there. So, and that's how like I've been grown up too, is like, my dad said, like, you know, treat everyone the same, no matter what. So
if not better. Yep.
Exactly.
So after you do your first show, at what point do you move back to Colorado?
Yeah. So I continue my fitness career, and I was very much into documenting my journey. Like I literally have footage from the beginning.
That's crazy.
Like literally from the beginning, I have all this footage that I posted on YouTube a little bit and here and there on social media, like on Facebook and stuff like that. And not MySpace. I'm not that old. Okay. So just
to clarify.
Yeah, just Facebook and Instagram. So, and Vine. I mean, I got to post on Vine a little bit before I got banned. But yeah, so I was there up until 2016. So 2016 comes around, and I think it's 2016. It doesn't matter really, but I was in one of my classes, and this is kind of when I was juggling around to see what I wanted to do, because I was going to school for nursing. Like I said, like I jumped around a lot.
Sure.
Just to kind of feel like what I wanted to do. And nursing, I was like, okay, this is where I'm going to make good money.
Yeah.
And I was very much like kind of chasing the money part, where like, how am I going to be able to like fund anything really, like for myself, or be more of, you know, like fund my bodybuilding career.
Sure.
And so I started taking, when did I realize? So I realized that like it wasn't really something I really wanted to do. So I ended up going into testing the waters into business. And I took my first business class, and it was called business management. And I remember this to this day because, you know, you get a syllabus at the beginning of the class, and you know, like these are the things that you have to do. And the first thing that it was you have to create your own business plan. I was like, man, like this is going to be a lot of work. I haven't really thought about like business or anything like that. And my dad owned his own business and stuff like that. So like I saw a lot of kind of the behind the scenes of the come up and just like how all that could happen. And I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. So they gave us the freedom to pick whatever thing we wanted to create.
Whatever industry, whatever business.
Whatever. It didn't matter. And I was like, man, I'm going to start a clothing brand. And this kind of like relates back to like, I was watching a lot of like Christian Guzman and stuff. And I was like, man, like he's creating this like cool community and stuff. And I was like, I want to do something like that. Yeah. But I want to do it better. Yep. So I come with this idea. It's called, the business is called Visionary Fitness. And
that was the original name.
Yeah. Oof. I literally found the business plan not too long ago. And I was like, man, this is going to be pretty cool. So like our goal was to create the best community-based activewear brand. Okay. And kind of like what made me want to do clothing is because how am I going to be able to reach a broad spectrum of people? And I thought, well, clothing, like everyone has to wear clothing. And, you know, I'm in the fitness space. So like I need to do something like that. Yeah. So I ended up creating this like whole business plan, and I went to present it like within a month or so. And right then and there, I knew that I needed to do this. I needed to drop out of college. Right after I got done with this, I was like, man, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. Wow. And I remember this vividly because I called my dad, and no, actually I called my mom and my stepdad, and they're like, dude, you need to just finish school. Like it's your junior year.
Man, they just shut you down.
Yeah, they shut me down real quick. They're like, you have one more year of school to get your degree. And I was like, but like I could be, making my money and starting my business. And they thought like clothing brand, dude, like what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Like this is a pipe dream.
Yeah, sure.
So I called my dad up. I was like, hey, like, I'm not going to tell you what mom and Damien said, but I'm going to tell you like what, what I want to do. It's like, I want to drop out of school. I want to start a clothing brand. And that's what I want to do with my life. My dad was like, how can I help?
Sheesh.
And
that's a real one.
My dad's always been like that. He's always been my superhero, like the guy that's going to help me through anything and everything. So I was like, can you help me buy a computer? And he was like, bet.
Jeez.
So, if I would have taken my advice from my mom and my stepdad, I probably wouldn't be anywhere close to where I am today.
Yeah.
Being in school was a trap for me. It wasn't,
Sure.
I wasn't good at it. I wasn't good at school. I'm not diagnosed, but I felt like I had like ADD or ADHD, whatever the hell it is. And my mind moves very, very quick. It's constant, like within like just not just fitness, but just in business. Like I'm always thinking of what's next, and like what shirt do we need to design? Like just so many different things. Like my head's moving like so quick and I can't like stop. So like I literally have like a notepad of just like all these like different things that I want to do and pursue and everything. And yeah, just like I don't even know like what my life would be like if I actually got my degree. I'd probably just be like,
that's crazy.
Working a 9 to 5. Like
what would it have been in if you had graduated?
Business
management.
Yeah.
So you get support from your father, you get that computer. What ends up happening next?
So I moved back to Colorado and I'm staying with my mom and my stepdad actually. And
you're over the chick, right?
Yeah. I'm over the chick.
Just making sure. Just making sure you're not gonna move back to Connecticut.
Oh yeah, no, I'm over that chick, right? Okay. So I'm going through everything and I'm just living on a freaking air mattress at my mom's house until because they were in the process of moving back because they were in Indianapolis, so they moved back kind of like with me at the same time.
Okay.
And we get there and, I'm just going through the stages trying to find a job and I landed at this like sawmill, dude. I was like, we're cutting like planks for like houses. I don't know what they're called. And I was just trying to like pack on as much, weight as possible. So I was just eating everything, just trying to gain weight. Mm-hmm. But I ended up doing that and then, making some money. And I remember one day they wanted us to stay like super late and we already worked like 12 hours. And I was like, dude, I gotta eat dinner. I'm hungry. Like I already ate lunch. And I was like, hey, like I'm gonna go to 7-Eleven, get some food. And they're like, no, like you don't get another break. And I was just like, see ya. And I just freaking walked away. I was
quit
like,
on the same day, huh?
I was like, screw it. No, I stayed there for 3 weeks. And stayed there for 3 weeks, working 12-hour days, 15-hour days, whatever. And I was just like, no, I'm done. So I left. And I didn't have a job for like, I think about a month because I was just trying to find that right one. Uh-huh. I was on Indeed and everything. And then I found this job for a medical equipment tech. I was like, man, that's a cool name. So I ended up applying for it. I knew a friend my mom knew a friend that worked there and got me the job. And it was my first like $18 an hour job.
Decent pay back then.
Yeah, it was very good. So I was making good money and there was opportunity for overtime and on-call situations. So
oh, nice.
So I got that job and man, I saved as much money as I could because I was still living with my parents, but I still had to pay rent, which I'll get to that in a sec. So I was paying rent and stuff, but I was saving as much money as I could and to move out, but also to start my clothing brand.
Yep.
And at the time I didn't know the name. I didn't know anything, but I knew this is what I wanted to do.
Right.
So, and I knew it couldn't be Visionary Fitness.
It's true.
So it's too blah. But I ended up getting this job, saving as much money as I can. And I saved about $21,000
Wow.
cash for the first year.
Sheesh, that's quite a bit of a savings.
I was pinching pennies, man. So saved up some money, and then I ended up coming up with a name. And
let's dive into the name. How did you come up with that name? How did you come up with Revolution and the way it's spelled, etc.?
What's crazy about that is I had a notepad on my phone.
Okay.
And I went through hundreds of names. Like, I still have them on my phone. It's just every name that you could think of, I had it on there. And I was messing around with Revolution, and I hate the spelling of revolution.
The traditional spelling?
The traditional dictionary spelling. I was like, Revolution. It just I hate that name. So I was like, well, why don't I take some letters out of it? And how am I going to make it to where you could still pronounce it? You see it and you know exactly it says Revolution.
Yeah.
Unless you just don't know how to spell or whatever. But right when I took some letters out, I was like, man, I think that's it. And one of the reasons why I picked Revolution was because to me, there's kind of a meaning behind it. It means change. So, and my ultimate goal was to change the fitness industry. And at the time when I started Revolution, the fitness industry was kind of going into a downfall. It was going into this kind of direction that I wasn't too happy to be a part of.
What year was that?
That was 2017.
Okay.
So, and I started Rev in 2018.
Okay.
So I was kind of seeing this kind of downturn that I didn't really like. So I wanted to create make a name that made sense. Mm-hmm. So we named it Revolution. And then I was like, well, why not just put athletics at the end to make it more of people know that it's an activewear brand.
Sure.
And then comes the logo. So a lot of people don't know this, but I ended up creating the logo based off of my favorite Disney character, the Lion
Disney
King.
character?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So yes, there's a lot of logos with lions and stuff like that, but I thought, you know what? What's the alpha of the jungle is of course the lion. And I wanted to make it more of a sleek, Nike, Gymshark.
Minimalistic,
very
but
minimalistic.
Unforgettable. Yeah.
Exactly. So I ended up creating the lion logo on a piece of paper. I drew it up, and we went through multiple different sketches. I went through 2 designers, and they just couldn't get the vision.
Yeah.
So I took matters into my own hands, and I drew it.
Wow.
And I called up my buddy, my designer. I was like, hey, I need you to make this into a digital form. He's like, okay, bet. He freaking got it done within that day. And I was like, he's like, I got 4 eyes to pick from. And I was like, that one. So he puts the eye on there, and I was like, that's it. That's the logo. And for me to be like, that's it, it's very hard for me to do that because I'm very
picky.
Yeah.
Yeah, you should be.
This is my baby.
Yep.
But I'm also just I can't pick if you give me options.
Yeah,
and
that's fair.
And I'm indecisive. So for me to be like, yo, I want that's it. Out of any logos, any sort of animal that I wanted to go towards, I was like, this is it. And I kind of ran with that. Mm-hmm. And the next piece of the puzzle was the slogan.
I was going to ask about that.
The slogan, that's a
What's the story about the slogan?
Yeah, so I was listening to NF, oddly.
Okay. Good artist.
And he has this song called Outcast. And he talks about him being in a cage, but he has the keys. the cage is locked, but he has the keys.
Ooh, that's deep.
And I was like, man, like, he's trapped inside his head. He's trying to get out. And I was like, you know what? He keeps on saying, be the outcast. I was like, man, like, that's literally essentially like what I want to be. Like, I've always been an outcast. I've always been someone that they've looked at and they're like, who is that?
Yeah.
And for the longest time, I thought of it as a negative thing. And as I grew up, I realized that this was exactly who I was supposed to be. I was supposed to be the person that stands out from the crowd, is doing the thing that no one else would be doing and doing something extraordinary. So I was like, why not make the slogan, be the outcast? And I ended up looking it up, and I ended up trademarking it.
Good.
Literally right then and there. Good. Trademarked that. I had REVLUTN already trademarked. And now it's just this battle cry of everyone saying, be the outcast. And so many people live by this. It's insane.
It's crazy to step back and look.
Yeah.
But now that you got all the bits and pieces when it comes to the brand's identity, what was like the sort of first project or first release you had?
So we started with four performance shirts.
Okay.
And I sunk every penny that I made
of the 21 grand.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It was maybe a little bit lower than that, but it was hard for me to write that check.
I bet.
And I put that money down, and I was very scared. And after, man, I think it was about 4 samples, I was like, okay, this is it. And when you're doing like clothing and stuff, like samples are anywhere from $100 to $150 a piece.
Yeah.
And you know, I was doing 4 colors, so like I wanted to make sure that the colors were spot on.
Yeah, sure.
Instead of just swatches. So I was like, I need all of these. So I was putting in the time, I was putting in the money to get these samples right, and then I was like, okay, these are it. So I ended up sending off the bulk order, and then I got them within, I think, about a month and a half ish.
Okay. When was this exactly?
This was
timeline.
Yeah, so this is like, I think it was about March of 2018.
March 2018, and you moved to Colorado when again?
2016-ish.
Okay,
Yeah, so it took me about a couple years to get money and just get everything, to get a job, all that stuff.
Save up that cash and everything. So 2018 March.
Yeah. So I ended up getting all that, and then I got my products, all my bulk products. And I was going through the process of modeling and everything, and I could say this now because they're all gone. Everyone loved them. But I got them, and I didn't like them. I didn't like them.
Man.
All that sampling, all that work, and I didn't like them.
Wow.
And I think one thing that's in my head is I can always do better. And once I get that product and it's finalized, I'm like, man, I could have done this. I could have done that.
Sure.
And I never really wore them.
Oh, really?
I never wore the shirts. And then I launched in August, and I sold maybe like 3, 4.
Wow.
It took me a bit. And
how long till you sold out all of that inventory?
It was a while. It was like a year-ish.
A year.
A year and a half. Like, people don't talk about like how everyone's like, oh, I sold out. I bought 100 of each, because I went the most expensive route because I wanted to make it perfect right off the bat. I wanted to set the tone. I didn't want to go with any wholesales or anything like that. I just wanted to go from straight to cut and sew and get these perfect.
Yeah.
So I went through the whole process, and I got the items, and I hated them. And I launched them, and then I took them off, and I was like, no, I'm not going to sell them.
You took them off the site.
Yeah.
So you didn't sell them.
I wasn't going to sell them.
Oh, man.
And then I was talking to my dad one day, and he was like, man, you just freaking sell them, even if it's at a loss. Like, it's getting your name out there. It's marketing, like, whatever.
Yeah.
So I ended up listing them for $5. I was taking a $6.50 like a loss on them just to make some money and just to get brand awareness.
Sure.
And they sold so freaking quick, man. Like,
you sold them for at what price?
$5.
$5.
$5 for a freaking, like, I think cost was about $11-ish or so. So
you just were done with it.
I was like, dude, I need to get rid of them. Yeah. I don't want to see them. Like, get them out of my sight. So I ended up selling for $5, sold them pretty quick. And then I was like, yeah, I'm never going through that again. But of course I did. I went through this whole phase of I get products and everyone else loves them, but I just like cannot stand them sometimes. And what I realized is, you know, yourself you are your worst critic.
Yep.
And in business or just like, I mean, not everyone's like this, but like for me, I'm very prideful in the stuff that I create.
Yeah.
I only put out the best or like what I consider the best at the time. And then eventually when I get it, I already know that I can do better.
Yeah.
And that's just like, that's my internal battles, but it's
a
crazy,
good and bad mindset depending on where you're looking at it from, but striving for perfection. But that sounds like a pretty tough first release that you had for REVLUTN. Was there any other sort of release or any other product that you've had, you know, a really major sort of learning experience with, or like, wow, that was, you know, pretty intense. That was a pretty difficult, you know, release, or, you know, anything that comes to mind?
Yeah. So I ended up designing 2 pairs of joggers, some joggers we call them. They're like shorts, but they were like kind of like a jogger kind of feel.
Okay.
So we had those, and then we also had a pair of leggings, our Arsenal leggings, and I spent over $30,000 on all of them. It was about 300 units per. And again, we went all in on a good manufacturer and went through some of the biggest names. Like most brands use these in the fitness industry. So I went all in and spent all this money, and they get the drawstrings wrong.
Sheesh.
They weren't long enough. So I, you know, confronted them. I was like, hey, they're supposed to be 7 inches exposed. You know, what can you do? So they sent me a huge check for X amount of dollars. And then I ended up using that because they were wanting me to go to a seamstress to like fix all those. And I was like, screw that. I'm just going to sell them. I was already selling them anyway. Uh-huh. And they weren't too bad, but like I highlighted like, hey, they needed to be this.
Yeah. And
it was their fault. So I ended up putting all that money towards some shorts and ended up, man, I think I only spent like $1,000 out of my own pocket. So like it was just straight profit. So that was pretty cool. But one thing that I hated is that I worked so hard on our Arsenal leggings. I did 10 samples. So it's about $1,200 ish for sample fees to get them squat proof, completely squat proof, nothing wrong with them. And I maybe sold like maybe 60 of them, bro. Sheesh. And I've had them for like 3 years, dude.
Do you still have them?
Yeah, I do.
Still trying to sell them?
I'm just trying to freaking give them out for free, honestly. So if you guys are watching this, you guys can.
And this is a woman's piece, right?
Yeah, and ladies, just send me a DM. I'll send you a free pair, honestly. Just pay shipping.
Oh gosh.
Yeah.
Was that your first sort of product for women, or when did you start diving into the women's as well? Because that's a whole nother different game.
Yeah, so that was the first item that we launched for the ladies, and it was kind of like a little tester because ultimately, like, ladies buy more.
Yeah.
And if there's ladies stuff, then they'll buy this, and then they'll buy for their man and all that stuff too. So that's one of the things that we're trying to kind of incorporate in our future launches now is we want to start coming out with more ladies stuff. And that's kind of like what we're working on right now is a lot of our seamless stuff. and getting samples and stuff for that right now. So kind of moving in that direction towards ladies apparel. So
Nice. When was the release of the women's apparel? What year was that?
that was 2000. That was 2019 or 20.
Nice.
No, 2020. Yeah, which was
So,
pretty tough.
one question I do have for a fitness pro brand, especially one that was, I'd say sort of semi-new, in terms of size and stuff like that. How did COVID affect your fitness brand, or did it at all?
Yeah, so it did affect the sampling process, getting my products in. Because at the time I was working on a lot of our like tech joggers and vital joggers and stuff. And it just took a while to get our samples. And then ultimately like it took a while to get our products, which really sucked because I mean, just imagine being like having your arms tied and you're trying to, pursue your dream. Like you can't because like you're waiting on samples, you're waiting on all these things. Like in a lot of major brands, like, Gymshark and all those, like they had stockpiles of just clothing ready to launch because most companies are, already have like 10 launches ready.
Yeah.
And I'm working on cash flow. Like whatever I get is going to be funded the next launch. So I'm having like 3-4 months of just like standstill in between launches. So that's one of the things that we're trying to fix right now is just trying to like schedule everything right and allocate money towards certain things to where everything kind of flows seamlessly and we're getting launches out very consistently throughout the year. So
Yeah, that's very cool. Did you see any growth in the Revolution brand when COVID happened and the shutdown happened? Because I know that when we previously spoke a while ago, you mentioned that there was a couple of TikToks and other sort of videos that went viral.
yeah, so in 2021, I posted a kind of, it was like a recruiting ambassador video
This was on TikTok?
yeah, on TikTok.
Okay.
And I was very new to it. So like, I didn't really understand how TikTok worked. So, but I had a friend that was like, yo, you need to get on here. It's very good for organic growth and stuff. So it gets pushed out to way more people than Instagram. So I ended up starting an account and started posting like my reels and stuff that I was making. And one day I created this ambassador video with my voiceover. And this was right after we launched our tech joggers and stuff like that. And it was about a 30-second video, which is very frowned upon when it comes to TikTok. Cause
That's a long video.
yeah, attention span's like 2 seconds. So if that. And I ended up posting it on a Saturday night at like 10 o'clock. And I went to bed. And I woke up at like 5 o'clock and I had like so many notifications and all these emails. And I was like, I don't know what this is, but I went back to sleep. Woke up at like 7:30-ish, 8 o'clock. And I had over like 6,000 emails.
Jeez.
And all these DMs. And I was like, man, I got to look at my phone. So I look at my phone and all these people are sending me DMs and messaging me and wanting to be a part of Revolution Athletics.
That's
and
crazy.
They're like, because my opening statement was, do you want to be a part of something bigger? And that was such a strong hook.
Yeah,
man.
that's tough.
That hooks me in. So we started attracting people from all around the world wanting to be part of the brand. And, that acquired a lot of emails, that acquired just a lot of attraction to our brand to where sales were like skyrocketing.
Nice.
So all the stuff that I had in stock, like people were buying it. And I was like, oh my God, is this like the moment?
This is the dream.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, man, this is when I thought like, this is when I found out that this was so much bigger than myself. So sales were doing good. I just remember being at the Village Inn at the time. And I was just sitting there. I was like, man, look at my phone just blow up. This is freaking cool. So I just kept on and looking at it and then just kind of capitalizing on creating more videos and, doing more I guess, inspirational videos, motivational videos, whatever you want to call them, and just posting them to all of our followers on TikTok.
Yeah.
And then it just kept on growing and growing from there.
That's very cool. Now, what about your Instagram presence? Because I know that right now you have quite a bit of followers personally on your fitness page.
Mm-hmm.
How did that sort of grow? Because I know that, compared to Revolution, it's a lot different than, your individual page. What was the video, or was there a video that sort of propelled you as well to get to that new level of Instagram presence?
Yeah, so it was kind of, I wouldn't say by accident. I mean, I was trying to grow, but ultimately, I was just wanting to document my journey through prep, because I was competing last year. Actually, yesterday was my show that I was prepping for.
Nice.
Last year. So I was just documenting my journey, and I got to my body fat and got to the stage where I was going to step on stage, and my show got canceled 3 weeks before.
No way.
So I had to kind of recomp, and then for 3 months I was just just putting in all this work, and I was just documenting all that stuff on social media. And then I found another show, and I was like, okay, this is the one I want to do. And I just kept on posting a picture and a reel every single day. And I was doing it for me, but I was also getting so attracted to the people saying, yo, this video woke me up. I was having this right here motivated me to go to the gym to start, competing competing.
Yeah, inspiring people.
Yeah. So I was getting this attraction where I was like, man, I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I'm doing exactly what I want to do. So I kept on doing it. And then I posted a reel that really propelled me into getting known. And it was kind of, I can't remember what movie it's from, but it was a sound where he's talking about how he's a mistake. And I realized that a lot of people attach to things that are relatable. And I was like, man, there's this many people relating to this. And that's when it woke up to me, where I was like, wow, if you find sounds, or if you find something that gives value but also people can relate to, you're gonna freaking blow up on social media. And that was the secret recipe. So as soon as that happened, I mean, I jumped from freaking 300 followers to 10,000 within, I think it was a week or so. And then it just kept on growing. I was gaining, one day, I think I gained 5,000 followers or 10. I don't know. It was so quick. I just kept on. And I think I'm at 80 something. I don't remember now, but it just kept on growing. And I was like, man, people are actually watching these reels. They're trying, they're seeing inspiration from this. They're being motivated to go to the gym and stuff like that. And I was like, this is just freaking crazy.
How quickly did that happen, would you say?
So I did my show last year around this time, and my goal was to hit 30K.
Wow.
And I hit 45 or something like that.
Sheesh.
It just flew like crazy, because people are so attached to the journey and seeing what am I doing? When am I stepping on stage? Just every little thing. So I just kind of documented that in my stories and in my videos and stuff like that. And I did I did a 9-day out, reel series.
Oh yeah.
And, cause that was my peak week ish, and, just documented that. And it was pretty fun.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's sweet. So now that we're coming to present day, what are some new challenges you're facing when it comes to the Revolution brand, and what types of things are you trying to work towards? What sort of new growing pains do you have?
Yeah. So right now with Revolution Athletics, we're trying to fix the issue when it comes to, I guess, allocating money to like certain launches.
Okay.
Because I'm very much like I want to have big launches and stuff like that. And I'm trying to divide up money to where I could do a women's launch. I can do, you know, a pump cover launch. I could do joggers or whatever. And right now, we're coming out with some joggers and hoodies and stuff like that. But the sampling process took a little bit longer than I thought. And we're not going to get these in until May. So, which sucks because these are oversized things. So like hopefully like people still want to buy them and stuff like that, but season wise, it's not the best. So that's what's kind of frustrating right now is just making sure like season wise, everything matches well.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I think there's still going to be a good hit. People buy joggers year round anyway. I wear joggers year round. Doesn't matter how big they are or whatever.
Especially in the gym, right?
Yeah.
You're not always going to be outside anyway.
Exactly.
Yep.
So I'm not too worried about that. And plus these are freaking insanely like comfortable and just everything that I would want in a jogger. So I'm very excited for them, especially hoodies. Like I wear hoodies year round anyway. So
yeah. For you personally, what are some sort of growing pains as I know you don't like the word influencer, but as a creative in the fitness industry space, what are some new sort of challenges you're trying to overcome?
I want people to not really look at me as much of like an influence because like ultimately like I want people to be, you know, 100% genuine themselves, but I just want to be like that person that you're like, man, like I want to be like that, but I want to be better.
Sure. Yeah.
And because like I think of myself as this, you know, a good person and like wanting to do good for the community and stuff, but like I always want, you know, people that are within my circle, I want them to be better than me.
Sure.
Gives me a little bit of challenge as well. So that's why like I hate that word influencer. I want to inspire. I want to help as many people as I can. If that's through fitness, if that's through business, or if you need help with something. Yeah.
So essentially you're just trying to convey to people to be themselves and not necessarily be you. Yeah. And that's kind of your biggest message. Yeah. I think that's a very good message to have for people, especially in the fitness community, because there's so many people trying to be like other people.
Too many cookie cutters. Like if you have long hair, you're immediately Alex Eubank. Like, come on now. Like,
true.
Be yourself, man. Like, be the outcast. Right?
Yeah. So, there you go. Tie it in. What are some new goals you have for yourself as an individual and as a creative and as a business person?
Personally, I want to continue on this path. I want to continue to inspire. I want to continue to help people from a business standpoint. I want to really set the tone. I want to shock. And what I mean by that is I want to make this crazy impact that people can't neglect and they can't turn their head away. They are going to be like, wow, he's actually doing it. And looking back at just like everyone that sees me from high school and stuff like that, I'm not this like kid, you know, this small town kid anymore. Like I'm this kid that had huge dreams and I'm pursuing them. And like one of my goals, and I'm going to say this on the podcast for the first time, like
alrighty,
and the first time ever, is I'm going to start Revolution Gym. And so yeah, I'm opening that can of worms, but I don't know when this is going to be posted, but I am going to start one of the biggest communities here locally in Fort Collins and hopefully Colorado. And we're not going to just stop with one gym. My goal is to have multiple, and I want to keep it a community. Yeah. So like instead of having, you know, one gym and stuff like that, like we want to kind of like migrate towards multiple gyms, but instead of like making it a cookie cutter like Anytime Fitness, like we want this to be like you walk in, you know exactly where you are, and like it's inviting and people are actually wanting to get to know you. You're going to build relationships. You're going to, you know, start business ventures and stuff like that. That's what I want out of this. I want it to be more of an experience than a gym. I'm very excited to like kind of step into this realm of being a gym owner,
Yeah.
also an activewear owner, but these are going to coexist together.
Yeah.
You're not just buying like a Hanes shirt when you go to a gym. Like you are actually buying high quality apparel
Yeah.
with your gym membership, and it's going to tie in together with our already like existing community.
Yeah.
And our community is so big locally, and we've kind of just like spread throughout Colorado. This is just going to propel us even further.
Yeah, it seems like it, because I think the main thing with the whole community thing is whenever you're at the gym and you see somebody repping a brand that, isn't as big or something that not a lot of people would know, but that person knows, it instantly creates that sort of, gym bro vibe. And it's like a
Yeah.
community that nobody can like sort of fabricate. It's just something that happens naturally. So the fact that you would have that not only with the apparel and here in Northern Colorado, but also with the gym, people are going to create a lot of friendships, a lot of relationships in the gym alone, and then it's going to translate to the apparel. It's crazy what you got planned. So I'm really excited for you, and
Thanks.
that's going to be a new venture that I feel like is going to be stressful, but I think it's also going to be really rewarding. I think here in Fort Collins as well, the demographic alone to open up something like that is a perfect demographic. And then secondly, the fact that there isn't anything like it, I think is
Not
the
in
biggest
Colorado.
thing. Yeah, exactly. So I know it's going to do well for sure. That's really exciting, brother, and it's going to be something I'm definitely going to look forward to, going to that gym. When can the people expect that?
So my expectation is at least by August.
Of this year?
Yeah. It's one of those things for me, if I think it, it's going to happen.
You got
It's
to make
those
it
laws of attraction. And for me too, it's like if I think of something, I'm not going to wait next week or whatever to make a pitch or to do something. Like I want to do it right now. So I'm a very proactive person, so I'm going to get it done regardless. So
August is the temporary timeline as to when people can expect it.
Yep.
That's crazy, dude. But
And
we're
we're not talking like small. Like we're talking like at least 15,000 square feet.
15,000 square feet gym.
Yeah.
That's a decent sized gym. That's crazy, bro. I'm really excited for that gym to open up, and I'll definitely be a member the day it opens. But you kind of answered this question. What do you envision REVLUTN being? What's the long-term vision for REVLUTN as a brand? And what do you want it to become?
Oh, man.
The big question.
Like any other person would be like, oh, I want to be as big as Gymshark or, Alpha Lead or any of these brands. But that's kind of not our nature, right? Our nature is to be the outcast, to be the one that kind of like sticks out from the crowd. And honestly, like if you've ever heard of like NF's like latest song, Motto, he talks about how he hasn't been nominated. He is so recognized in the industry, but no one wants to really like project him out there. And that's kind of what I want to be. I want to be big, kind of like, I want to say like kind of like Dark Sport, right? Like Dark Sport, they're big, but
not everybody knows about them.
But not everyone knows about them.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to be. I want to be that kind of like unsung hero, but a lot of people know about us. People have our stuff, and I just don't want to be too loud, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Have there been any sort of like big names or big influencers in the social media space that have worn REVLUTN that you're like, oh my God?
Not yet. I did have some Rockies players rock it at
sweet.
the beginning. Well, actually, so this is when we first started, kind of. My mom knew a friend that coached Keith Thurman, which is one of the boxers.
Okay.
And he was fighting against, it wasn't Manny Pacquiao, but it was the guy before that. And yeah, like REVLUTN was on national television.
That is
everything,
nuts.
Wearing the hat and everything, but no one knew what it was. So like it was recognition, but it wasn't recognition. So
yeah, fair enough.
But yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, which I'm not really big into like boxing. But yeah, I mean, I've taken pictures with, some people with, a lot of followings and stuff like that with Rev on, and not anyone like super huge has had or bought Rev yet. So
What sort of new things do you have planned for Revolution that the people should know about?
products are coming.
Yeah?
A lot of crazy designs are coming for shirts. A lot of the ladies line, which is very highly anticipated. Like a lot of
Yeah.
people want this. A lot of products, man. Like we have portfolios full of just designs that we created. Me and Rain created back in last summer. So it's just boards full. So
Let's
I'm
talk a
excited.
little bit about the person you mentioned, Rain. I remember you told me who he was
Yeah.
a couple of weeks ago, but for the people that are listening and the people that are watching as well, who is Rain? What sort of purpose does he serve in the Revolution brand? How'd you meet him, etc.?
Yeah, so Rain he is one of my best friends. And we didn't really meet the traditional way. He actually saw the ambassador video that I made,
Oh,
and he jumped on every single live, even if there was like 5 to 10 people in there. And he would always ask me questions about Rev. And one day I get a DM from him, and he created a masterpiece, I call it. And it was a building with Revolution on the side of it. And he said, "This is going to be you one day." And damn, dude, I want to get a little teary-eyed over here.
jeez, man.
God damn.
You're good. You're good. You're good.
Um,
So he made that picture for you.
Yeah, so he made that picture for me, and it was kind of a glimpse of like how powerful social media can be, and
Yeah.
how like one individual, like right there, you knew that this person believed in you. You don't get that a lot. Not a lot of people are like that. And when he said that to me, I truly believed it. So from there, we talked every single day. He completely redesigned my whole website from scratch and helped me do a couple launches, and then eventually, like, now he's like my full-time designer for Revolution Athletics. This kid doesn't ask for anything. He did it for free. He did it literally out of just the belief of what he knows that the company is going to be in the future. And one day we were like joking, and he was like, "One day I'm going to come to America." I was like, "Yeah, that'd be freaking cool." And I think it was like a month later, he was like, "Hey, I'm going to buy my ticket and I'm going to come out there this summer." And I was like, "Really?" He's like, "Yeah." So he came out here for 3 months, and we freaking hung out, lifted, designed, and it was kind of like we were already like best friends. Like it was so smooth. It was so just like I
Natural.
talked to him every single
Yeah.
day. So like when I got to talk to him in person and like hang out with him, like he's just the same person as
That's
he is
crazy.
over the screen. And it's crazy to think that I met this guy on TikTok, and we grew as friends and business partners essentially. And yeah, I mean, I don't know where I would be without him, because not just because he's my best friend, but he's helped me grow Rev to what it is now. And he designed the shirt. He designed so many pieces that we've come out with, and I'm very grateful for that little DM that I got from him with that picture. Yeah, that freaking shook me, man.
I bet it did, because it's a really special feeling when somebody matches exactly what you've envisioned, what you put your blood, sweat, and tears in, and what you want people to see it as.
Yeah.
And to receive a picture like that, even how like insignificant it seems,
Yeah.
there's so much like power behind that, because you know that somebody shares that vision, and it actually means something to somebody else as much as it means to you. Like we've discussed, that's your whole sort of purpose with the business.
Exactly.
Having a community that's based off of a feeling of belongingness, with what your brand represents. And it's really important, especially in the industry that you're in.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything that you want to give any attention to, or anything that the listeners and the viewers should know about?
Yeah, so one thing that I try to tell people, it's not about the destination. It's about those necessary steps that you have to take to get to that destination. You got to enjoy the journey, because at the end of the day, like once you get there, you're just going to start looking for the next thing.
Yeah, next best thing, yep.
And when people get discouraged and they're not seeing results in any certain thing when it comes to business or fitness or anything like that, people get discouraged. And I just want people to know that, you know, it's going to work out.
One thing that I think is also important to know is with the industry that you're in, comparison is the biggest thief of happiness and thief of joy.
It is, man.
And so inspiring people through your brand to also remember that, I think, is also something that I've seen you've done. And I have to give you props because I feel like that really, really matters.
Yeah.
Everybody, yeah.
And just to kind of touch on this too, is like I used to live a life where I compared myself to so many people that I looked up to.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I want the success. I want this. I want this girlfriend. I want this. Like all these things. Like I want what they have.
Yeah.
And ultimately, that held me back from pursuing my dreams and pursuing what I actually wanted to do with my brand or with myself personally. So when I kind of like stepped back and like looked at myself, I was like, man, like what kind of person do I really want to be?
Yeah.
And now I'm living my life. Now I'm living my dream and doing exactly what I need to be doing. So
Yeah, just being you.
Exactly. And that's what I literally challenge everyone to do. If you are thinking about, you know, wanting to be like this person or whatever, like stop.
Yeah.
Be yourself. Be 100% yourself.
Yeah, man. So many people get caught up in that and comparison and wanting to be somebody else. And with the way social media is, and especially in the fitness community, it's really tough to not do that. And especially people starting off in the gym, which leads me to my next question. If you had any piece of advice for your 17-year-old, 18-year-old self as you were coming into adulthood, finding your place in life, what piece of advice would you give yourself?
Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, you can cuss.
Don't give a fuck what people think about you.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That was another thing that really stopped me from really pursuing a lot of things that I want to do, was really thinking about what people thought about me.
Yeah.
And it consumed me so much that I was like, man, John's not going to like what I say or whatever. It's like, you can't give a fuck. Like if you want it bad enough, you'll do whatever you can to get it done. Get out the camera, film yourself, film whatever you want to. Like so many people are so scared to do so many things. And it's like, the only way to get anything done is to step outside your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So, and that's one of the things that's really challenged me in being a creator, is this is what I want to do for my life. And, you know, that kind of like ties into Revolution and everything. Like, we are the outcast. You have to do the things that other people will not do. So,
or at least learn to be comfortable with doing it.
Exactly.
Because I feel like a lot of people do want to, you know, do certain things that people will frown upon, but they're scared of because of people's opinions.
Yeah, and like one thing that I realized too is, and I saw this TikTok and I thought it was really powerful. He goes out into, you know, like a mall or whatever, and he does the most craziest thing. And he's talking to the camera and he's like, they're going to forget this 5 minutes later or 5 seconds later, right when you walk past. And then that's it.
Yeah.
You're embarrassed for that 1 second or whatever, and then they're going to forget about it and go along with their day. And that right there really opened my eyes up to like what do they call that, NPC? Like, you are the main character.
Yeah.
All these non-playable characters, you are the main character of your own movie, all that stuff. And that's kind of what I've kind of realized, is that, you know, you are the main character. You walk in, you do whatever you need to do, and like, just, you are the superhero. Like, be that, you know?
Yep.
So that's something that I kind of, when I think about being embarrassed or, you know, having my camera out or whatever, I just think, you know, no one gives a fuck. Like,
very true. I think that those are some very wise words. Now, to piggyback off of that same question, what's one piece of advice you give to somebody who wants to be a part of the whole fitness community and social media and influencer type of sphere?
Just start. The reason why I say that and why it's so short is because so many people talk. They never act. They say, I'm going to do it next week. I'm going to do it in a month when I'm, you know, 30 pounds lighter or whatever. or when I'm shredded.
Yeah.
And that's a trap. That's a trap that your mind puts on you that is like, hey, you shouldn't do this. You need to just do it.
Just an excuse is what it is.
It's an excuse.
Yeah.
Exactly. So when you're thinking about starting, just do it. Right then and there. Pick up that camera, do it.
Simple, but impactful.
Fucking simple.
I think it's true, though. It's crazy that such a simple sort of mindset can change your direction in terms of anything you do, right? So I appreciate you being on the podcast, dude.
Yeah, thanks, bro. I appreciate it.
I think there was a lot of good topics we talked about, so you're a good guest to have on. So I imagine I'll probably ask you to come on a couple more times.
Let's do it.
And
but we'll do it in my gym, though.
Oh, man. Oh, manifestation. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
You got to put it out there, guys.
With that being said, thank you for tuning in to episode number 2 with the man, the myth, the legend, Levi Scrivner. Follow him on his socials. With that being said, appreciate your time, brother. And
thanks, bro.
Can't wait for the gym.
Heck yeah.
Perfect.
Let's do
Thanks
it.
for tuning in, guys.